Hey, what's up guys? My name is Gleckman, and today we're going to be checking out the Ólafur Arnalds Chamber Evolutions library from Spitfire Audio. I've written a short demo cue here, so I'm going to play that, and then we're going to check out how I use the library. So here we go. So the piece was based off of this very simple piano motif, and we're set in E minor. So all we're doing harmonically is we're going between E minor, B minor first inversion, C major 7, and then back to that B minor first inversion. So the whole entire piece is really based off of those three chords. So at the beginning here, we have this short wave sound, and that's the shortest articulation. And then we have a couple chamber grids as well. So we have a low end one here, and then a high end one. So this one, it just sort of sits at the bottom, adding a little bit of sonic interest. This one comes in at the top. And we also have this amazing patch. It's probably like my favorite patch from Orchestral Swarm, but it's called the Whisper Swarm. And you can see it's just so subtle, but in terms of its specific timbre, it's almost indescribable. It just weaves sort of in and out. I love it. So for our synths, we have this this sound here from Omnisphere called 4 Species. We bring in the low end. And then we also have this cool little flute sound. Again from Omnisphere. It's called Solo Energia. And then we have this low end pad here. Just adding a little bit of rumble to the bottom of the mix. And it works particularly well with the melody. And our main melody is actually being doubled by the whistling piano. very cool haunting quality, and doubled with the piano, it has this very cool timbre. It almost sounds like wind in a sense. So also, somebody asked me in the comments of this piece why I used the Friedlander violin versus the Joshua Bell violin. And the answer pretty much is the Friedlander violin has a much more sort of spacey, open, ambient, I don't know how to describe it, a much more confident tone. The Joshua Bell violin is a very sort of nimble, expressive, but very melodic and quiet sound versus the Friedlander violin, which can get quite so there's that. So everything all together sounds like this. So then we remove the whistling piano. So you can see it dynamically continues to rise. So now we introduce the tremolos. So we have this little moment of ambience between when we introduce our melody or our theme, and then we have this little moment of ambience, and then we go into our sort of main theme section, as I've indicated here in the markers. So here's what that sounds like. And the thing that's sort of happening under that is this patch here from Omnisphere. And I believe this is actually just part of the original sound set. Yeah, so this is in the bowed color section, and it's called the Broken Cello Haunted Arco. And it has a really cool, creepy quality that works really well under this section. And it's sort of funny because when I was writing this, I actually just had this end right here, but then there was a weird pedal note issue, so it kept playing throughout the whole thing, and I realized that it actually sounded pretty neat, so I just extended it and kept it going throughout this whole entire section, because I think it just adds something interesting sonically to the rest of the mix and adds an interesting combination with the strings. So now we head into the main theme section. So let's break down what we have going on here. So our main strings, and the strings that I pretty much start out with every single time on every single composition, is the concertino from Spitfire Audio, and they just have this amazing. If you're ever wondering how you get that Thomas Newman, Harry Gregson Williams sound, it's the concertino patch from Spitfire Chamber Strings. It just sounds super, super cinematic, and I love it. And I start out with that on every single piece of mine that has strings at all. So by the way, for those strings, what we're doing here on the EQ is we're reducing this low end to reserve it for the basses, reducing that mid-range right around 238, looks like, and then increasing the high end, just a simple high-end shelf, just to add a little bit of sort of high-end sparkle. We still have our Friedlander Violin going on as well, so doubled with the concertino and the basses. That sounds like this. So then we have this guitar from Omnisphere that's just sort of keeping a pulse. And then we introduce some of our chamber ensembles or chamber evolutions patches here. So we have this waves long, and then our chamber grade, which is sort of playing a little bit more of the fuller So you can see the main role of the chamber evolutions in this specific section is to just combine with the chamber strings. And just as the Spitfire symphonic evolutions combine with symphonic strings, this library goes so incredibly well with Spitfire chamber strings. It's sort of not even funny. Like when you just combine two patches together, you can automatically tell it's recorded in the exact same environment. Oops, there he goes. And so that's what we have going on during this section. And then we also have a little bit of Soltasto Swarm from Orchestral Swarm. It's a cool little sound. Then we also have another guitar from Omnisphere. You can see we're automating the pan. So for me personally, when I'm writing music, I almost never use one library for any one section. Usually I'll start out in general with my sort of baseline strings or baseline brass, and then I'll add other things on top of it if I need to help enrich that sound. So for me in this case, it was, the first thing I put down was that concertino patch. And then from there, I just began to add things. So I added in the Ólafur Arnalds Chamber Evolutions just to add a little bit of unpredictability and a little bit of sonic interest, just to give it a little bit more of a kick and a little bit, I guess it's almost like if you're cooking something and you just add a little bit of spices to make something more interesting. That's exactly sort of how it is using samples as well. If you want to take one thing from Albion 5, then one thing from Novo Intimate Strings, or then one thing from Ólafur Arnalds Chamber Evolutions. And really, when we build up all these tools, it just gives us more capabilities in terms of creating our sonic worlds. So for me, this tool is incredible, and I notably absolutely love the waves articulation. So I'll see myself definitely using this in the future. But anyway, so there's my inaction of Ólafur Arnalds Chamber Evolutions. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any recommendations, please put those down below. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you